A new CBS News investigation exposes the connection between child labor in Africa and products many of us use every day.
Trapped miners in the Democratic Republic of Congo scrambling out of a hole from a collapsed mine.
We're working very hard and digging very far to take this out, but we're getting almost nothing for it.
Chinese companies that are dominating the mining industry in the country.
That sleek device in your hand? It runs on power scraped from the earth by children who will never afford one. On minerals dug up in places most of us will never see, by people whose names we'll never know. But what if I told you the ground they're standing on, that dusty, broken land, is worth $24 trillion? Let that number sink in. $24 trillion. That's more than the entire GDP of the United States and Europe combined. It's enough to make every person in Congo a millionaire, many times over. And yet Congo is one of the poorest countries on earth. So what went wrong? How can a land so rich leave its people so poor? This isn't just a tragedy, it's a blueprint for exploitation.
Now, in a recent report, Amnesty International details alleged forced evictions and human rights abuses targeting communities in the DRC as mining companies expand their operations.
That message, it made the West nervous, very nervous. Because if Congo actually started using its $24 trillion in minerals for itself, it would change the global economic order, and that was a threat too big to ignore. Within months of taking office, Lumumba was captured, beaten, and executed with the direct support of the CIA, Belgian agents, and powerful Western interests. His body was dissolved in acid. His legacy was nearly erased, and in the chaos that followed, Mobutu Sese Seko rose to power. Mobutu was everything Lumumba wasn't, a military strongman backed by the US, who promised stability while robbing the country blind. For 32 years, Mobutu ruled like a king. He built golden palaces, flew in Concorde jets, and parked luxury cars in the desert. Meanwhile, hospitals fell apart, schools vanished, roads crumbled, the people suffered, the country bled, but the minerals never stopped flowing. Cobalt, diamonds, copper, uranium, all shipped out, all enriching someone else. Mobutu was never punished. He died in luxury, and Congo was left behind, looted, broken, and once again, controlled. It wasn't independence. It was a handover of power from one set of hands to another. War, then more war. When Mobutu's regime collapsed in 1997, many hoped it would mark a new beginning, an end to dictatorship, a chance for peace. But instead of healing, Congo descended into chaos. What followed wasn't just a civil war. It was a series of interconnected, brutal conflicts involving more than 9 African nations, dozens of rebel groups, and countless militias, each one trying to grab a slice of Congo's vast mineral wealth. It became known as Africa's World War. Over 6 million people died, not just from bullets, but from disease, starvation, and displacement. Entire villages were erased, families torn apart, generations lost. Girls as young as 10 were kidnapped, raped, and sold into slavery. Boys were taken from their homes and forced to become child soldiers, drugged, beaten, and handed guns. Some were made to kill their own families to prove loyalty. And while the world looked away, the minerals kept moving. That's the part no one likes to talk about. Why was the world so silent? Because even in the middle of war, the mines didn't shut down. In fact, conflict made extraction easier. Militias took over mine sites. They used the profits from gold, coltan, tin, and especially cobalt to buy weapons and fund terror. Foreign companies quietly bought minerals from middlemen. No questions asked. Everyone got what they wanted. Everyone except the Congolese people. Congo didn't collapse because it was weak. It collapsed because war became profitable. Peace wasn't just delayed, it was inconvenient. Because as long as the minerals flowed, the suffering could be ignored. The bodies piled up, the children kept digging, and the world kept scrolling. The global supply chain of suffering. This is where it gets personal, because this story isn't just Congo's. It's ours too. Every time we charge our phones, drive an electric car, or buy new tech, we're connected to what's happening there. Cobalt doesn't fall from the sky, someone digs it out. And often, that someone is a child, working 12-hour days, exposed to toxic dust, with no contract, no protection, and no future. Tech companies know this. They've made promises, set up supply chain audits, but deep down, they know there's no such thing as clean cobalt, not when people are dying to get it. China takes over. While the West was busy holding summits and making statements, China was making moves. Over the past decade, Chinese state-owned and private companies have quietly and aggressively taken control of Congo's most valuable resource, cobalt. They didn't come with armies. They came with contracts, construction crews, and cash. They offered to build roads, repair infrastructure, and promise investment in exchange for long-term access to the mines. Congo, desperate and broke, signed the dotted line. What followed was a new kind of empire. Economic colonization without the flags. Today, China controls the majority of Congo's cobalt production. They own the mining licenses, they run the extraction sites, they manage the exports, and through those minerals, they shape the future of the world's technology and green energy sectors. Cobalt leaves Congo in cargo ships heading for Chinese refineries. And from there, it's fed into the global tech supply chain, into smartphones, electric vehicles, solar panels, and satellites. But here's the part that hasn't changed. The people living on the land where all this wealth comes from, they're still waiting. Many communities near the mines still don't have electricity. Kids walk miles just to fetch water from polluted streams. Roads are only paved to move minerals, not people. Schools are crumbling, clinics are empty, lives remain stuck. A case study in how wealth gets extracted and how power keeps it that way. This is the story of Congo's $24 trillion curse and why the world wants what's in the ground, but doesn't care who dies digging it up. A land so rich, it should be a powerhouse. Congo should be one of the most powerful nations on Earth, not just in Africa, but globally. It holds more than 70% of the world's cobalt, the mineral your smartphone, your laptop, your electric car, and even renewable energy systems literally cannot function without. No cobalt, no clean energy future. But cobalt is just the beginning. The Democratic Republic of Congo sits on an estimated $24 trillion worth of natural resources: gold, copper, coltan, diamonds, tin, uranium, oil. If it's valuable, it's probably in Congo's soil. This country has the kind of mineral wealth that built empires. But here's the brutal, almost unbelievable irony. Congo is also one of the poorest countries in the world. More than 60% of the population lives on less than $2 a day. In towns next to billion-dollar mines, children are digging with their bare hands. No helmets, no gloves, no future. They breathe in toxic dust. Their backs break before they hit adulthood. Families drink from the same rivers poisoned by mine runoff. Their homes are mud huts, while luxury SUVs, owned by foreign companies, fly past on freshly paved roads, built only to move minerals out. There are no schools, no hospitals, no infrastructure. People wake up every day to survive. That's it. No progress, no prosperity, just survival. So the question is, how? How can a land this rich produce so much poverty? The answer, Congo doesn't control its wealth. Others do. And what should be a blessing has become a curse. Because the deeper they dig, the poorer the people seem to get. The wound that never closed. To understand why Congo is the way it is today, you can't just look at modern politics or poverty stats. You have to go back, way back, to 1885. That's when King Leopold II of Belgium took control of Congo. Not Belgium, Leopold himself. He claimed the entire territory as his personal property. What followed wasn't just colonialism. It was one of the most brutal exploitation systems. He came to bleed it dry for rubber and ivory, commodities that were in high demand during the industrial boom in Europe. Millions of Congolese were forced into labor. Villages were given impossible rubber quotas. If they didn't meet them, soldiers would kill their family, burn their homes, and in one of the most horrific practices recorded in history, they would cut off people's hands as proof of punishment. Children, women, elders, no one was spared. By the time international pressure finally forced Leopold to surrender control of Congo to the Belgian government in 1908, it's estimated that over 10 million people had died, either through violence, disease, starvation, or sheer exhaustion. 10 million. Yet today, most people around the world have never even heard this story. It's not taught in schools. It's not part of the global narrative of injustice. But for Congo, that wound never healed. It was never acknowledged, never repaired. And worst of all, it never ended. Because the system Leopold created, where outsiders take everything and leave suffering behind, still lives on, just in a different form. It began with rubber. Now, it's cobalt, independent. That never happened. In 1960, the Congo finally broke free from Belgium's colonial grip. At least, that's what the world was told. Flags changed, names changed, but the system barely moved. Congo's independence was supposed to be a turning point, a new era led by Patrice Lumumba, the country's first democratically elected prime minister. He was young, brilliant, charismatic, and more than anything, he was unapologetically African. Lumumba spoke boldly about reclaiming Congo's destiny. He believed the country's wealth should benefit its people, not foreign companies. He demanded dignity, economic freedom, and ownership of Congo's vast natural resources. So, while Chinese companies are building billion-dollar industries off Congolese soil, the people themselves are still trapped in poverty, watching the wealth pass them by year after year, truck after truck. It's not that Congo has no wealth, it's that someone else always seems to own it. This time, it's not Belgium, it's Beijing. What's really going on? Let's stop pretending this is a mystery. Congo isn't poor, it's being looted over and over. By colonizers, by dictators, by global companies. People call it the resource curse, but it's not a curse. It's a choice made by people in power again and again to take everything and leave nothing behind. So here's the question. How long can this go on? How long can the world build the future on the backs of people who don't even have a present? How do we justify a system where trillions lie underground, but people above are starving? The answer isn't simple, but the truth is, this isn't just about Congo. It's about how the world works, who benefits, and who gets buried. So what can you actually do about this? First, share this video. Most people have no idea their devices are connected to child labor. Second, demand transparency. Ask tech companies where their cobalt comes from. And third, subscribe because we're going to keep exposing these hidden economic stories that shape your world. Next week, how Rwanda escaped this exact trap and became Africa's biggest success story. Drop a comment. Should tech companies be forced to pay living wages to the people mining their materials? Your answer might surprise you.